Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever found yourself wondering about the subtle forces at play in our lives? Those unseen influences, maybe messages that seem to come from beyond our ordinary sylphs, or that incredibly challenging line between a genuine spiritual connection and outright deception.
It's a big question.
It really is. It feels like something humanity's grappled with across, well, every culture and age.
It's truly fascinating to observe how universally this quest for understanding the unseen has resonated. I mean, from the earliest civilizations right up to our interconnected modern world,
Yeah.
the human desire to connect with something more alongside a very natural fear of being misled, well, it's profoundly shaped our understanding of reality.
Yeah.
We see guidance, comfort, truth. But the path, it's rarely straightforward, is it?
Not at all. And that's exactly the deep dive we're taking today. We're embarking on an exploration into the rich and, let's face it, sometimes mysterious world of mediumship, spiritual communication, and that enduring human quest for authenticity within these realms. We'll be drawing from some really fascinating sources that offer deep historical context, moving personal anecdotes, and profound spiritual insights, particularly from the tradition of Brazilian Spiritists.
And our mission today is really to extract the most essential nuggets from these accounts. We want to help you understand the dynamics of spiritual interaction, the historical challenges of distinguishing truth from illusion, and crucially, the profound responsibilities that come with navigating these spiritual landscapes.
Okay.
Prepare for some truly surprising facts and perspectives,
Uh-huh.
things that might just illuminate your own role in the greater spiritual exchange.
That's good.
We'll look at everything from, say, the collective energy we bring to spiritual gatherings to the rigorous standards for authentic communication. We'll even delve into astonishing physical manifestations and the artistic expressions of spirits. It's a journey into those unseen threads that weave our reality.
Excellent. Let's get started. So to kick things off, let's talk about the incredible power of spiritual gatherings as highlighted in our sources. It's not just about those who might be seen at the front, leading or facilitating.
No, not at all.
There's a much deeper shared responsibility, apparently, even for those of us simply sitting in the audience.
That's such a crucial insight. Our sources really emphasize that attendees are never just spectators. They're active participants, often without even realizing it.
How so?
Well, when people gather with a shared positive intention, it doesn't just create an atmosphere, it generates a powerful energetic field. Our spirit friends, enlightened spiritual helpers, they've observed that this collective intention leads to an increased consciousness among attendees.
Okay.
It makes them more receptive, allowing for better absorption of ideas or spiritual teachings.
Right.
And here's where it gets truly impactful. This collective energy enables true treatments by disincarnated spirits.
True treatments. What does that mean exactly?
These are subtle, energetic healings or adjustments that can occur without your conscious awareness, simply because the environment is conducive and the collective intention is present.
So even if I'm just sitting there listening, maybe not feeling anything overtly dramatic, I'm still contributing to this field.
Precisely.
And simultaneously receiving these subtle benefits.
You're both a contributor and a recipient in this dynamic exchange.
Exactly. And these treatments, they're not necessarily physical cures, right? Are they more energetic?
Often, yes. They're often energetic realignments, emotional soothing, maybe a subtle clearing of mental blockages that can assist your personal growth and well-being.
Okay. And who exactly are these phalanges of disincarnated spirits you mentioned earlier? Is it just helpful guides?
Well, the term phalanges refers to diverse groups of spirits present. Our sources tell us that these include many who are still suffering or recovering from their own earthly experiences, as well as those preparing to return to Earth for new lessons.
Wow, so a real mix.
A huge mix. Imagine a vast, invisible network of beings, some actively working to help, others simply benefiting from the positive, harmonious atmosphere created by the collective. Their presence makes the energy of the assembly a shared responsibility. Meaning the purity of intention, the focus, the emotional state of each person in the realm, all of it contributes to the overall energetic tapestry that these spirits interact with. It makes the gathering more effective for spiritual work.
That's a profound thought, that we're all part of this larger energetic system just by being present. This connects to an even more intriguing idea presented in our source material. This concept that we are all mediums, all pieces of a great task. What does that truly mean on a practical level for the everyday person, beyond just attending a spiritual gathering?
It's a deeply empowering idea, isn't it? And maybe somewhat challenging. It suggests that mediumship isn't some exclusive gift reserved for a select few. It's a fundamental aspect of our spiritual being.
Okay.
Our sources delve into the concept of what's often called ectoplasm donation.
Ectoplasm donation, that sounds intense.
Well, it's described as many people in the audience, without even realizing it, unknowingly donating their energy, a vital, subtle, spiritual essence, sort of like a life force.
Right.
This energy, sometimes referred to as ectoplasm in a broader sense, can be carried to very distant places by the spirit world. It's not necessarily a conscious act or even something you actively direct.
So people are unknowingly sharing their very essence, their life force, with others far away. That's incredible.
It is.
And for whom is this energy primarily intended? Are we like mentalizing specific people, or is it a more general aid for those in need?
It's often more generalized than you might assume. Our sources clarify that this energy isn't just for individuals you might specifically think of, like a sick friend or family member. It's also for distant people who would give anything to be here with us.
Who might that be?
These could be individuals in great need, maybe in hospitals, war zones, or struggling spiritually, who are not physically present but can benefit from this donated vital energy.
Wow.
It's described as an unconscious, often involuntary act of spiritual charity, a silent ripple effect demonstrating the profound interconnectedness of all beings.
So the harmony matters.
Hugely. The greater the collective harmony and pure intention within the gathering, the more potent and far-reaching this vital energy contribution becomes. It literally connects us all, making us part of an extraordinary, marvelous gear that helps to renew our own energy for daily struggles.
So it helps us too.
Absolutely. This constant, unseen, energetic exchange helps sustain and uplift not just those receiving the direct benefit, but also those who are giving. It provides a subtle spiritual boost that helps us face the challenges of our material lives.
This powerful concept of unseen connection leads us to a really crucial point about belief and skepticism, which, as you said, has been a constant thread throughout history when it comes to spiritual phenomena. It's hard to imagine, but our sources reveal that even a figure as revered by billions as Jesus himself faced accusations of being a deceiver. That's a staggering thought, isn't it? Makes you wonder how old this challenge of authenticity really is.
Oh, it's certainly a very ancient challenge. We need to remember the historical context of that era. During Jesus' time, figures often referred to as witches, sorcerers, pythonesses, individuals claiming various supernatural powers or connections to spirits, often for personal gain or manipulation. They were common.
Right, part of the landscape.
Exactly. The populace was accustomed to such figures, and there was this widespread blend of superstition, folk magic, and genuine spiritual longing. So when Jesus emerged, performing what many saw as miracles and speaking with profound authority, he was inevitably branded an engañador, a deceiver.
Just like that.
Just like that. His remarkable feats, like healings or accounts of bringing the dead back to life, were often dismissed as mere tricks, combined with those seemingly in cahoots with him. They assumed collusion or illusion.
So people immediately jumped to the conclusion of trickery rather than even considering the spiritual possibility.
It seems so, often.
How did his closest followers react to such intense skepticism and, well, outright hostility?
Well, the sources specifically mention Peter's revolt at the disrespectful and uncharitable comments people made about Jesus. It highlights the intense resistance to new spiritual phenomena, particularly when it challenges established beliefs or power structures.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The human tendency to dismiss what we don't understand or what threatens our worldview, it's deeply ingrained, isn't it?
Definitely.
This deep-seated skepticism and fear of deception created a hostile environment for Jesus, forcing him and his disciples to constantly confront accusations of fraud. It wasn't just an intellectual debate, but a profound emotional and spiritual battle against ingrained prejudice and fear. And you see echoes of that throughout history.
It's clear that skepticism has a long, long history. But this tension between belief and doubt, it didn't just disappear with Jesus. It reemerged centuries later, maybe even more intensely, with the birth of Spiritism. Our sources show a strikingly similar struggle for authenticity. There's a quote, "My goodness, millions of stories." Because if there's one thing that sometimes serves as a stage for deceivers, it's mediumship. It seems the more potent the spiritual claim, the more fertile the ground for fakery.
That's a very astute observation. The very nature of mediumship being a bridge to the unseen makes it inherently vulnerable to skepticism and, unfortunately, to charlatanism. And within Spiritism itself, especially for beginners, there was a significant internal fear regarding what's called animism.
Animism, can you explain that?
Sure. Animism refers to instances where one's own spirit uses one's body to manifest rather than a genuine external spiritual influence. In other words, the medium might be unconsciously generating the message or phenomenon themselves, drawing on their own subconscious, rather than truly channeling a disincarnated spirit. And this wasn't always seen as intentional deception, mind you, but more like a lack of control or purity in the mediumistic process.
So it's not just about external con artists trying to fool people, but also the medium themselves potentially, maybe unintentionally muddying the waters.
Exactly. That's a big part of the discernment process.
So how did this internal fear affect the development of mediumship within the early Spiritist movement? Did it hold things back?
It certainly created caution. This fear of animism, coupled with historical instances of people who had no mediumship and pretended to be a certain entity, caused many to opt not to develop mediumship.
Really? They just chose not to?
Yeah. The concern was that if they couldn't clearly distinguish between their own subconscious and genuine spiritual communication, they might inadvertently deceive others, or even worse, themselves.
Right.
This led to a very cautious, sometimes maybe overly critical approach, where the potential for animism or fraud sometimes overshadowed the genuine spiritual potential. This internal struggle for authenticity really shaped the entire early development of Spiritism. It led to a strong emphasis on education, moral development, and careful discernment in mediumistic practice.
That makes sense.
The inherent vulnerability of this type of communication means that quest for authenticity remains a central, ongoing challenge for anyone exploring these realms.
So what does this all mean for trusting mediums today? I mean, with so many stories of deception, both ancient and modern, how can we discern what's real? Our sources point to one individual as the unparalleled standard for authentic mediumship, Chico Xavier. The immediate reaction is often, obviously, we know they are not like Chico Xavier, but why was he considered so unique, such a powerful benchmark?
Chico Xavier, the renowned Brazilian medium, truly stands as an extraordinary benchmark precisely because of the irrefutable evidence that accompanied his work. When someone received a psychographed message through Chico, meaning a message written by a spirit using his hand, it often contained incredibly specific, verifiable details.
Like what?
Details that Chico himself, or even the immediate family, could not possibly have known. For instance, a message might include details such as, my great-great-grandfather is buried in the cemetery of so-and-so.
Wow.
Details the family might not even remember or might have to go verify in old records. These weren't vague platitudes. They were concrete, often obscure pieces of information.
That's astonishing. So it wasn't just comforting words, it was actual proof. Was there a specific intention behind this level of detail from the spiritual plane? Were they trying to prove something?
Absolutely. Our sources emphasize that the spirits did it on purpose to confirm the identity of the communicating spirit.
Yeah.
This wasn't about, entertainment. It was about solidifying trust in the communication and, by extension, in the reality of life after death. This meticulous verification was crucial in a field so rife with skepticism and potential for deception.
Yeah.
Chico Xavier's work wasn't just about conveying messages. It was about providing undeniable proof that a distinct conscious personality was indeed communicating from the spiritual realm beyond any possibility of fraud or animism.
That level of verifiable detail set a standard that, as you noted, is rarely, if ever, matched today.
It really did.
That's a powerful point about the intentionality of the spirits. And speaking of irrefutable evidence, our sources share an incredible modern example. It really drives home how you can find trustworthy mediums today, even if they aren't Chico Xavier. Tell us about the boat kiss tragedy in Brazil.
Yes. This is a truly moving and compelling case. Several years ago in Santa Maria, Brazil, the boat kiss fire tragically led to the deaths of 242 young people. A terrible tragedy.
Horrific.
In the aftermath, many grieving families sought answers through mediumship. One particular mother, whose daughter died in the fire, went to a medium in São Paulo. Now, this was someone she had never met, and crucially, to whom she provided no personal details about her daughter beforehand.
Okay.
That night, her daughter, along with two other young men also victims of the fire, psychographed messages through the medium.
And what made this specific message so undeniably authentic for the mother? What was that moment of absolute confirmation?
The mother recounted with immense joy and certainty. She said she knew it was her daughter. Not only had she given the medium zero information about her daughter's personality, but the message began with an incredibly intimate daily phrase she used to wake her daughter up.
No way.
Yes. The daughter in the psychograph message started by saying, "Mom, when I got here in true life and saw I was no longer in my body, my first memory was yours. Because when you woke me up for the day, you'd say, 'Lift your head, girl, life is good.'"
Oh my goodness.
The mother stated, with absolute conviction, how could the medium have known that this was what she said to her daughter every day when she woke up?
Exactly. Impossible.
This deeply personal, secret detail, impossible for the medium to know, served as absolute confirmation for her. It transcended mere comfort. It was undeniable proof of continued connection.
That's an incredible story. A true aha moment of spiritual connection, as you say. But this raises important questions about the timing and nature of these messages. What about messages received very soon after someone's passing, especially in, violent or sudden circumstances? Is there a spiritual protocol for that?
This is a crucial nuance, yes, often discussed in spiritual teachings. The guidelines, as described in our sources, advise caution. Messages received just a week later after a sudden death are a case to think about. Maybe not impossible, but certainly something to approach with discernment. For those who die suddenly or tragically, or by their own hands, even greater caution is advised. There's usually a necessary period of 1 or 2 years for the spirit to minimally recover and be able to communicate effectively.
2 years? Wow.
Violent or traumatic deaths often leave the spirit disoriented and in need of extensive spiritual aid and healing before they can coherently reach out. It takes time to adjust.
So it's not simply a matter of the spirit being ready to talk, but also about the wisdom of higher spiritual guidance maybe protecting them during a sensitive period.
That seems to be the understanding. And protecting the living too, perhaps.
And what about specific details regarding, say, who caused a violent death? Would spirits reveal that?
That's another key point. Higher spiritual guidance generally does not allow details about who caused a violent death, for example, even if the spirit wishes to speak of it.
Why not?
The focus of these early communications, if they happen, is often on the spirit's recovery. Messages like, "I'm recovering, stay with God." The spiritual realm seems to prioritize healing and spiritual growth over earthly retribution, or revealing details that could interfere with the living's karmic paths or free will.
That makes sense. But are there exceptions for urgent information?
There can be. Our sources share the example of a 17-year-old boy involved with drugs who was murdered. A very sad case. He appeared to his mother in a dream saying essentially, "I can't communicate with you properly yet, Mom, but my body is buried in the backyard of such and such house."
In a dream.
Yes. And the police, following up on her information, found him exactly where he said.
Incredible.
It highlights how dream states can be channels for deep, crucial communication when direct mediumship might not yet be possible or advised. It shows the spiritual world finds ways to convey necessary truths, even with strict protocols in place.
These nuances really underscore the immense responsibility of the medium. You've said mediums are co-participants in this spiritual situation. It's clearly not a passive role.
Not at all.
You mentioned if we don't engage in study, a generous heart, a real desire to help, we can deceive others, and what's worse, deceive ourselves. This isn't just a gift, it sounds like a profound lifelong commitment.
It truly is a lifelong commitment according to these teachings. Mediumship, understood as being a bridge between the world of matter and the world outside of matter, demands constant vigilance, self-discipline, and moral cultivation.
It's not just about having the ability then.
No. To simply possess the ability is not enough. One must continuously purify their intentions, study the spiritual laws, cultivate a truly generous heart. And those who abandon this task, who don't follow through on their mediumistic potential, well, they can face consequences of an unfinished task.
Consequences,
Yeah, this might manifest as internal disquiet, a sense of unfulfillment, maybe even challenges in future incarnations. Neglected spiritual duties often resurface until they're addressed. The spiritual realm operates with a deep sense of purpose and commitment.
So it's really not a casual endeavor. There are real repercussions for treating it lightly or for not being prepared.
That's the strong message, yes.
What specific guidance do enlightened spirits offer mediums to navigate this immense responsibility? How do they stay on track?
There's a powerful phrase from the spiritual plane that guides mediums. "Tú que no sabes no digas."
Which means?
What you don't know, don't say. It stresses the profound discipline required. It's about not speculating, not fabricating, only speaking when truly guided by spirituality. It means being comfortable with silence when no clear message is coming through, rather than feeling pressured to produce something.
That takes...
It does. This discipline is essential for maintaining integrity and ensuring that the medium is a clear, unadulterated channel for spiritual truth, rather than a source of their own thoughts or projections. It's a constant journey of self-awareness and humble, dedicated service.
We often hear about Chico Xavier's immense love and compassion, but our sources also reveal a deeply personal aspect of his life. They show his immense suffering despite his universal love. He was a man of extraordinary spiritual sensitivities, and some of those gifts apparently came with a heavy burden.
Indeed. It's a testament to the fact that spiritual gifts, particularly those of advanced mediumship, aren't always easy. They can be incredibly difficult. One of Chico's most challenging mediumistic abilities was this. When he embraced a person, he knew when that person would die and how.
He knew how.
Apparently so. He explained that in a period before someone's departure, sometimes months in advance, he would perceive what he called their vital
Their vital? What?
Tous. T-O-U-S, their vital energy signature. He perceived it beginning to detach from the physical body. And this wasn't about suicide, but about natural or unexpected departures like accidents.
So he could literally see the life force of someone he loved slowly leaving their body, knowing their time was short. That's an unimaginable weight to carry.
Immense burden. He observed this in dear friends, and he suffered intensely from this foreknowledge.
I can only imagine.
Imagine embracing someone you love, knowing their days are numbered and being powerless to change it. The emotional toll was so great that he eventually asked Emmanuel, his spiritual protector and guide, to remove this sensitivity.
He asked for it to be taken away.
Yes, and incredibly, Emmanuel granted it. He no longer possessed that particular deeply painful ability.
Wow.
This demonstrates not only the profound nature of his mediumship, but also the compassionate understanding of the higher spiritual planes, allowing a sensitive soul like Chico a reprieve from such suffering when it became too much to bear.
That's a powerful act of compassion from Emmanuel. Yet, even without that specific ability, Chico Xavier's intuition remained incredibly acute. We have a poignant story that illustrates this, maybe a glimpse into the future.
Yes, a beautiful example. I recall a story about a friend, Rogerio, who was 26 years old. When Chico embraced him, he asked if Rogerio's mother was still alive. Rogerio replied that she had passed away 10 years prior.
Yeah.
Chico then told him, "You can't imagine, my son, the soup of lights your mother prepares for you in true life."
A soup of lights, that's beautiful.
A tender, comforting message. However, months later, Rogerio tragically died in a car accident at just 26 years old.
Oh no, so what's the interpretation of that looking back? Did Chico know, even without that specific vital toe sensitivity he'd asked to be rid of?
It's highly likely. The reflection here is that Chico, despite Rogerio being so young, likely perceived his friend's limited remaining time on Earth during that embrace. It wasn't the painful, explicit foreknowledge he'd asked to be rid of, perhaps, but a strong intuitive sense that conveyed the urgency of the spiritual mother's care.
A different kind of knowing.
Exactly. This connects to a spiritual teaching that sometimes melancholy, a sadness, begins to approach us and has nothing to do with our emotion, but often with our farewell.
A farewell sadness.
Yes. A subtle premonition, a soul-level awareness of an impending transition. Not necessarily tied to a specific external cause, but rather an internal readiness for departure. Our sources link this to the spiritual teaching that the eyes are the mirror of the soul, as the light of our eyes is the first thing to decline when nearing physical departure.
Really?
That's the teaching. It's a subtle spiritual sign, a quiet signal that the spirit is preparing for its next journey, a testament to the profound connection between our physical and spiritual existence.
This journey into spiritual perception and intuition brings us to a challenging societal question. When we exalt deceivers in society, maybe especially through media, deep down, it sometimes seems like we almost want to be deceived. Why do we do this?
That's a tough one.
Why do we fall for the masks, the pretense, and then later blame the individual?
It's a complex psychological and, spiritual phenomenon. Our sources suggest that when we choose to believe an illusion, it often serves a temporary comfort or convenience. We embrace a narrative that might be easier or more flattering than facing a harder truth.
Right, avoidance.
Which inevitably leads us to later blame the person who had an attitude, a mask, seemed what they were not. We project our own complicity onto them.
So how do we avoid that?
Well, the antidote lies within us. We must emphasize the importance of trusting our intuition and the spiritual protection we all have to be less deceived. There's an innate spiritual compass within each of us, Something will tell us intuitively that something is wrong, even if we can't logically explain it.
That gut feeling.
Exactly. That subtle unease, that gut feeling is our spiritual protection at work, urging us to question what isn't right.
That intuitive something is wrong feeling is so important, isn't it? But often overlooked in our rational world.
Very much so.
And our sources hint at other unique spiritual signs, like seeing a question mark above a person in distress. What does that signify?
These are described as subtle, visual, or intuitive cues for those with heightened sensitivity. It indicates that things will happen there, and the person will need your support.
Like a pre-warning.
A pre-warning from the spiritual plane, yes. A call to observe and be ready to offer aid.
But it's not always about benevolent interaction, is it? You mentioned deception earlier.
Right. Our sources also discuss hypnosis as a tool sometimes used by brothers still full of shadow in their hearts, spirits who are not yet enlightened, and might use charisma or magnetism for self-serving ends. And it's crucial to connect this to karmic cycles. Yesterday it was us who hypnotized with charisma, with magnetism for our more hidden ends.
Oof, that's a confronting thought. That we might have been the manipulators in the past.
It's part of the spiritual understanding of cause and effect, yes. We've all, at some point in our soul's journey, likely manipulated or deceived others, perhaps unconsciously, perhaps not.
That's profound. So, what are the long-term consequences, the karmic returns, for those who engage in such deception?
The consequences are significant and often unfold across lifetimes, according to these teachings. In a later life, these individuals might suffer from affective solitude, feeling deeply alone or isolated despite being surrounded by people. They may feel misunderstood or be inexplicably misinterpreted in their intentions. This is described as always the return of the deceiver from other lives.
So it's like a mirroring effect.
It's seen not as a punishment in the conventional sense, but as a natural spiritual rebalancing. By experiencing the very isolation and misunderstanding they once inflicted, they have an opportunity to learn empathy, develop genuine connection, and purify their own intentions.
A chance to learn.
Exactly. It's a cycle of learning and spiritual growth, reminding us that every action, every intention carries an energetic imprint that eventually returns to us.
We've talked a lot about psychography and subtle spiritual influences, but there was this extraordinary time in Brazil when mediumship was intensely physical. Almost, well, theatrical seems the wrong word, but very tangible. Our sources speak of an era of luminous materializations. What exactly was happening then? What made these phenomena so compelling?
This was a truly fascinating period, yes. A time when spirits could, under specific, carefully controlled conditions, materialize in a tangible, visible way. One prominent figure was a medium known as Peyotinho. And it's important to acknowledge his human struggles. Our sources mention he had problems with alcohol and suffered enormous sadness for his daughter who had died young.
So he wasn't perfect.
No, a very human medium. Yet despite these personal challenges, he was an incredible medium of physical effects, meaning he could facilitate materializations. Many people were drawn to Spiritism, specifically because of the undeniable physical proofs his mediumship offered.
So his personal struggles didn't negate his spiritual gift.
Apparently not. The gift itself was separate from his personal battles, though his struggles sometimes impacted his ability, of course.
And what was one of the most famous proofs of his authenticity, especially given the natural skepticism around physical phenomena like materialization.
Right, skepticism was high.
Yeah.
One iconic anecdote involved his asthma. Peyotinho would be in the dark ectoplasm cabin, a specially prepared, controlled space for materializations. Dr. Bezerra de Menezes, a revered spiritual guide who materialized through him, would instruct him, Peyotinho, use your inhaler.
While materialized.
While Peyotinho was in the cabin, yes. The audience in the dark heard the sound of the inhaler, proving beyond doubt that Peyotinho himself was physically present in the cabin and not some trickster hiding in the shadows.
Proving he was there.
Exactly. This small, audible detail was irrefutable evidence that he was not faking his presence in the cabin, thus validating the materializations that followed. It was an ingenious way to combat the accusations of fraud that often plagued physical mediumship.
That's brilliant in its simplicity and effectiveness, but these materializations went far beyond just proving the medium's presence, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely.
For many, the most compelling evidence comes from deeply personal emotional connections. Was there an anecdote that really touched individuals on that level?
Indeed. There was a journalist from Rio de Janeiro described as a staunch skeptic who had tragically lost his 3-year-old daughter.
Oh, heartbreaking.
In these materialization sessions, mediums would sometimes use wax cauldrons, where spirits could temporarily form parts of their bodies using the ectoplasm.
Okay.
In one session, they showed this journalist a wax cauldron, and there, materialized in the wax, was his daughter's tiny foot with the scar that only he knew she had on the sole of her foot.
Oh my goodness. The specific scar.
The specific scar. This was an irrefutable, deeply personal proof for him. No trickery could account for that specific scar on a materialized foot, especially given the use of boiling paraffin in the process.
It's impossible.
It moved beyond mere scientific verification to profound, undeniable, heartbreakingly beautiful confirmation for a grieving father. It offered solace that no words could provide, showing the enduring bond of love.
From physical materializations, we now move to another extraordinary form of mediumship, pictography. Our sources introduce Luis Antonio Gasparetto, who recently passed away, and his incredible ability to facilitate painting through the hands of disincarnated artists. This is not just a spiritual phenomenon, it's direct artistic expression from the spiritual realm.
It truly blurs the lines between art and spirit, doesn't it? Gasparetto was a unique medium whose hands were used by various renowned disincarnated artists to create paintings, often at astonishing speed. And what's fascinating is that these artists, even after passing, apparently retained much of their earthly temperament and artistic personality. This came through Gasparetto's experiences.
How so?
Well, Pablo Picasso, for example, was described as the most problematic of them all. He still carried his fiery, sometimes volatile temperament. Gasparetto recounted that there was a time when Picasso even had an attack during a session and threw paint tubes when the attending audience, the Saturday boys, were chatting too much, disrupting his focus.
An attack. So even in the spiritual realm, Picasso was still very much Picasso. Volatile.
Apparently so. But did he ever, perhaps, apologize for such outbursts?
He did, which speaks volumes about the process and the ongoing evolution of spirits. Gasparetto recounted that after the incident, Picasso, through him, apologized.
Specifically saying he was sorry because the speaker, Gasparetto, had to bend down to pick up the tubes of paint he had thrown.
Wow. Still Picasso, but with some remorse.
A lingering, almost human self-awareness and a touch of his distinct personality. In contrast, other artists like Amedeo Modigliani and Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec were depicted as happier or more tranquil spirits.
Interesting.
It indicates their different states of evolution and psychological equilibrium. These varying temperaments highlight that spirits aren't monolithic, they're individuals continuing their journey, sometimes still working through their earthly patterns.
That's incredible, not just the art, but the continuation of personality and even a glimpse into their evolution. And here's where it gets really fascinating. These artists sometimes revealed their own past lives. This isn't just about channeling art, it's about revealing the soul's long journey.
Absolutely. Our sources provide fascinating insights into reincarnation and the continuity of talent across lifetimes. Picasso, for instance, told Gasparetto that he had been Sandro Botticelli in a previous incarnation.
Botticelli. Wow.
Linking two monumental figures in art history. Similarly, Miguel, believed to be Michelangelo, confirmed to Chico Xavier that he had returned to Brazil as Aleijadinho, the legendary Brazilian Baroque sculptor and architect.
Michelangelo as Aleijadinho. That's amazing.
It showcases the enduring nature of artistic talent and the soul's journey across distinct eras and cultures, evolving and expressing itself through different forms and bodies. It's a powerful statement about the persistence of the spirit's essence and its capacity for continuous growth.
Gasparetto himself had a powerful journey of personal transformation. His recent cancer diagnosis, he said, was the resentment I had for life and never managed to overcome. It seems his own spiritual path was intimately linked to his mediumship. And what about Modigliani, who you mentioned had a difficult life? Did he also find a path to redemption and transformation?
Gasparetto's self-awareness regarding his illness is a profound testament to that spiritual principle.
Yeah.
Our emotional states can profoundly impact our physical well-being. And Modigliani's story is one of the most powerful examples of redemption our sources share. Despite his aggressive and tragic life on Earth, his pregnant wife even committed suicide. He later had an incarnation that lasted 14 years.
Just 14 years.
Just 14 years, apparently to become a sweet soul again. This highlights the spiritual mechanism of short, intense incarnations, often lived in anonymity, specifically designed to purify and transform the soul, to rectify past mistakes and evolve.
Wow, just 14 years to fundamentally change his spiritual nature. That's an astonishing amount of progress in what seems like such a short time.
It really is.
Was there a moment when this transformation became particularly clear and moving?
Yes, there was a truly climactic and moving moment. During a pictography session where Chico Xavier was present, Modigliani, through Gasparetto, painted a magnificent Christ. After finishing, he took the magnificent image and gave it to a couple in the front row who had tragically lost their 14-year-old son.
Oh!
Then Modigliani, crying, revealed through Gasparetto, "I was the 14-year-old boy you lost, and I am here to thank you for those 14 years of anonymity."
No, he was their son.
That was the revelation. This incredible moment connected the highly complex spirit of Modigliani through his redemptive short life to this grieving couple.
Unbelievable.
It illustrates immense spiritual evolution, the redemptive power of such focused incarnations. It underscores Socrates' timeless wisdom to know thyself, reminding us that self-awareness is crucial for spiritual growth and avoiding the self-deception that can hinder our progress. It's a powerful narrative of atonement, transformation, and enduring love.
These stories of spiritual evolution and artistic expression bring us back to our own lives and the often subtle deceptions we face daily. Our modern life, perhaps more than ever, seems full of illusions and artificial needs, doesn't it?
It absolutely is. We are constantly bombarded by external pressures and influences.
Yeah.
We're often oppressed by the idea that we are not happy because we don't have this or that.
Yeah, the comparison trap.
Exactly. The media, for instance, frequently incentivizes deception or creates urgent needs that are artificial, making us believe we lack something essential for happiness. This could be a new gadget, a certain lifestyle, an idealized image of success.
Right.
These terrible deceptions can lead to profound unhappiness, even contributing to madness, theft, murder, not forgiving others, as we chase after illusory goals or blame others for our perceived lack. It's a cycle of dissatisfaction fueled by external expectations.
So those frustrated or unrealized dreams, the things we lament not achieving, they actually serve a purpose. They're not just failures we should regret.
Not at all. From a spiritual perspective, frustrated or unrealized dreams, rather than being lamented, always point us to the truth. They often indicate that it's not the moment yet. They are not denials, but rather signposts.
Signposts.
Yes. They teach us patience, reassessment, redirection. The universe, or higher spiritual guidance, has a perfect timing for everything. Sometimes what we desire intensely isn't what we truly need, or it's not aligned with our current spiritual path. It's a call to examine our true motivations and maybe adjust our sails.
That's a challenging perspective, to see unmet desires as guidance. So amidst all these deceptions and illusions of happiness, what is the one thing that is not a deception? What's the bedrock truth we can always rely on?
The source material is unequivocal. Only one thing is not a deception. True love that we can feel for others, nourish within us and spread in the world.
Love.
True love. This is the ultimate undeniable truth that transcends all illusions. It is the core of our spiritual being. As Allan Kardec, the codifier of Spiritism, wisely put it, materialism kills. Because whoever does not believe in the power of love, whoever has no faith, at least in themselves, is fleeing from life in every way. Getting sick, irremediably and without any solution, is how it's phrased. Materialism disconnects us from our true essence, leading to a spiritual and often physical decline.
So true love isn't just an emotion, it's a life-sustaining force, literally. And if we are to truly embrace this, we need to be present and take care of ourselves too, don't we? Our physical selves.
Exactly. Alberto Almeida, a contemporary speaker on spiritual topics, reminded us in a lecture, our body of flesh is still necessary, so let's take care of it, because for now, it is the instrument of our manifestation. We cannot effectively spread love or fulfill our spiritual duties if we neglect the very vessel that allows us to operate in the material world.
Right.
This means conscious living, self-care, making choices that support both our physical and spiritual well-being.
This emphasis on conscious living leads to self-reflection. When we don't deceive ourselves, we frequently revise our conscience. We ask ourselves, what have I done today that a true friend of Jesus would or wouldn't do? What impact did my actions have?
This daily self-assessment is crucial for spiritual growth. It's about being accountable to our highest ideals and to the spiritual laws of love and charity. It also means not postponing provisions, those tasks or lessons from other lives that we keep pushing forward.
Pushing forward, like procrastination on a soul level.
Kind of, yes. We have accumulated spiritual debts and duties over many existences, and a conscious life means actively working to resolve them now, not deferring them to another lifetime. Our sources draw inspiration from Bartimaeus, the blind man in the gospel, who had the audacity to shout loudly, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me."
Right, he wouldn't be quiet.
He wouldn't be silenced by the crowd. He needed to change his own existence, and he took bold action to do so. This courage to seek transformation, to vocally declare our needs for spiritual healing, that's what is being called for in our lives.
That story of Bartimaeus is a powerful example of taking ownership. But it's also striking, as our sources note, how of late, spirits have observed that people are falling ill from complaining so much, from just saying they are not happy. It's almost as if negativity itself is a spiritual ailment.
It absolutely is, according to these views. Complaining, constant dissatisfaction, the refusal to take responsibility for our own happiness, it creates a toxic spiritual environment, both for ourselves and those around us. This mental and emotional state can manifest physically, leading to illness and imbalance. The challenge for us is clear. If we do not transform the country, the world, ourselves, things will only get more complicated.
We can't just wait.
We cannot simply wait for external changes. We must be the agents of transformation. And perhaps the greatest deception of all, as our sources conclude, will certainly be to believe that we can live without loving, without spreading love, even if we are not loved back.
That's the key.
That fundamentally is where true fulfillment lies, not in receiving, but in the unceasing act of giving love. For it is the only thing that truly connects us to the divine and to each other.
This journey has taken us through so many profound insights today. From the subtle energy we share in spiritual gatherings to the karmic returns of deception and those incredible proofs of materialization and pictography. And it all circles back to one central, undeniable truth: the power of love. To end on a note that distills all this wisdom into a simple, tangible act of love, our sources recount a beautiful anecdote from Chico Xavier's book, Bem-aventurados os simples, Blessed Are the Simple. It's a story that really stays with you.
It's a story of pure, unadulterated compassion and empathy. It's about a street boy who daily admired a single slice of orange cake in a bakery window. He was too shy to ask for it, too accustomed perhaps to deprivation. Day after day, he would simply gaze at it, his heart filled with this silent longing.
Oh, the poor kid.
One day, another older homeless man, seeing the boy's unspoken desire, understood his pain because he himself had experienced that exact hunger and longing. He gathered his last few coins, went into the bakery, bought that piece of cake, and gave it to the boy.
Wow.
The profound lesson Valerian, the spiritual author sharing this, emphasizes is this: only those who lived that pain were the ones who went in and bought the piece of cake.
What a beautiful and heartbreaking lesson. It speaks to the power of empathy born from shared experience, but also, I think, to the call for all of us to act, maybe even if we haven't lived that exact pain.
Indeed. The core message is clear. Let's not wait, my friends, to live the pain we ignore today to help. Let's simply help. We don't need to experience every suffering to understand it, or at least to respond to it. We simply need to open our hearts and act.
Yeah.
It's a call to proactive compassion, to bridge the gap of suffering with love and action without delay. It reminds us that every small act of love creates a ripple in the fabric of existence.
With this powerful thought, we leave you to ponder. In a world full of deceptions, both subtle and overt, what simple, undeniable act of true love can you choose to perform, or perhaps allow yourself to receive in your own life today? Until next time, keep diving deep.